Wagwan, it's your boy Hype to the DARD. That is my name, and this is the Real Edits. Welcome to another video where we review and react to a certain piece of news that has been happening in the United States. They call it the Minnesota billion-dollar fraud scandal, right? That was initiated by a couple of Somali people. Somali people tunawatambua, we have a lot of them here in Kenya, right? Ni wengi huku Kenya, and they live amongst us, and they're part of our community here in Kenya. So back in Minnesota in the US, some decided to waliamua kuweka the kando and decided it's all about money. They decided to put the Quran kando, and wakamua it's all about money. So they made money from this, and it seems they have defrauded the state of Minnesota billions of money. And since it has been a story on TikTok everywhere, and it has been a really big issue, and I think it has led to Kenya being involved, right? Somehow Kenya being involved. It seems this money has been used to build hizi maherais tunaona pale Isili, hizi maherais tunaona Kilimani. It seems wameingia kwa real estate. This money imeweza kuingia kwa real estate, and it has built some few big apartments, and nasikia pia petrol station na nini. So it has been invested in Kenya, right? And there is no consequences for that. So it seems since the US hawakuwa najua and all that, so then they had the leeway to do that, and it's so sad that pia Kenya we allowed such to happen. And watu wamekuwa wakiwa na pressure huku nje, and they don't know what has been happening. Watu wanashindwa Wasomali wanakuaje na wanatengenezaje hivi do nini wanatengeneza. Watu wanasema Wasomali wako na umoja, and maybe it has been the fraud and I believe some of the suspects wako Kenya bado, and that's very interesting to hear kulingana na social media. So personally kuna mjamaa anaitwa Nick Shirley from the US, a YouTuber who decided to go to the in-depth of all this and decided to investigate this issue with another guy there. I don't know who he is, but I think they're concerned citizens, and it seems they decided we need to investigate this and see what is happening. And it is very sad that this is happening, and watu wengi wamekuwa na pressure huku nje. So anyway, without wasting any time or any we are going to do a part of it. I think we are going to do it in parts because it's a very long video, and I hope to get into the any of this and see what was happening and how it happened and what is really happening in that part of the United States. Anyway, without wasting any moment or any time, you're going to go straight to the video and see rada ilikuwa gane.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that?
1.62 million. That's around it's almost a billion, if I'm not wrong. 1.6 million, or it's like 100 million plus Kenya shillings. Might inaweza kuwa hapo kweli, I don't know. Yeah, it can be there. Inaweza kuwa hapo 100 and something million Kenya shillings. So it's over 100 million Kenya shillings. Crazy.
Ask about there aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children? There's no children inside this building. Potentially the largest fraud scandal in US history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somaliland.
18 billion. No, I hope that's just
fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia. These fraudsters have worked hand in hand with the Minnesota government as they enabled billions of dollars to be given to fraudulent businesses underneath welfare purposes. Some of this money eventually landed in the hands of terrorist groups in Somalia like the Al-Shabaab and
crazy.
Others enrich themselves, all at the US taxpayers' expense. And in this video, we will break down all of the fraud from start to finish, from going to the fraudulent businesses and confronting the people who are making millions of dollars from the.
Okay, pia ukiangalia this guy is an esteemed YouTuber because he has 1.2 billion subscribers. So he decided to do this like for his personal content, na pia at the end of the day he makes something from it. Meshika, so I think he's still an esteemed citizen trying to find out, because pia unajua kuinja this news ni outlets pia zituambiangi vile kunaenda, because pia it's all dealings after dealings. So but him going down there, I think maybe it's going to make it clear for us. Let's see what's going on.
The government, and we will also be confronting the incompetent government leaders who let this fraud happen. And to make this happen, I met up with a man who's been doing his own investigation for years now, as he has seen the fraud firsthand.
Okay.
His name is David. Let's get into this and be prepared to be shocked. How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion. How I got involved is that where my office is here in
$8 billion. That's damn, man. That's $8 billion. That's close to 1 trillion in Kenya. Damn, man.
Minneapolis,
It is close to 1 trillion.
Sort of in the heart of all of this fraud. And I would see these child care centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day. And all I see are a couple of guys standing out front smoking. And then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing. I said, well, where do these kids play? And so I started to go online and look. And I said, this place is licensed for 80 children.
And this is the best thing with the PI Inje, you know. I don't know. I can say it's another thing with other countries out there compared to Africa. When something like this happens in Africa, like hakuna mtu mwenye anaweza kuwa so determined kufanya investigations to this, like personally, and it be taken to nini, because pia kuna venye like our news nini zime do some nini investigation about some scandals in Kenya and nothing has ever been done. Imekuwa tu ni hearsay, like hakuna kitu serious imepatikio. But funny thing, this one happened, some people did their research and it has led to people being arrested. But in Kenya inakuwaga tu venye tu iko. But the other thing about these wazungu people, they love their country this much that when it comes to other things, man, they make sure that hakuna venye inaenda hivyo. They make sure that stones are unturned and they get into nini about it. So but watu wengine, but here in Africa it's totally different, and that shows why Africa sometimes is a shitole. It's a shitole continent, right? Because a lot of fraudulent acts may happen in the government and and nothing has ever been done. You know, Morara has done some about public funds being spent by and all that. Like Josie, I saw he did. I don't know. It was I don't know what that was being made. I think where was that? Is it in Western or where was it? I don't know. It was a milk plant, right? A milk something. It cost I don't know how many billions. It cost I don't know how many billions, and it was left I think 4 billion if I'm not wrong. And iliacha tu hivyo. That is back. I don't know how many years back. And even though iko and no one seems to be bothered about it. Na hiyo ndo shida ya Africa ni continent ingine shitoli, hata kama ni continent yetu, as much as that's why at the end of the day tutakuwaga always separate from the West and from even other parts of the East, right? Because our corruption, nobody cares about it.
They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation, contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once. And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing? So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned.
lakini pia I would ask myself if it was a fraudulent nini being done by a mzungu, right? Like a mzungu in the US, will it be this serious? Ama ni juni wa Afrika wamefanya hii story, that's why imekuwa this serious.
Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks.
Because pia at the end of the day tunafaa tujiulize, because pia si unajua pia wazungu, they are not that nini about Africa. Yeah, they don't really like us that much. At the end of the day kuna tu ile nini fulani ile the superiority nini complex amongst the wazungu and the Africa, like si tunakuwaga always downgraded, like we are not that nini. Kuna venye wazungu wanafiliki that they are above nini, but at the end of the day if it was a mzungu who did it, will it be this nini ama ni juni wa Afrika wame nini, that's why imekuwa blown out of nini
to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
So right here we have all this paperwork. And how are you getting all this information about the fraud?
A lot of it is through my own research. And then I have some contacts at the Capitol going back many, many years. And so the data that I'm getting is 100% accurate, coming directly from research done by people at the state Capitol.
All this paperwork right here, what are we looking at?
The areas of fraud that I have numbers for are mostly related to childcare. This is massive fraud that is beyond anyone's imagination, the scope. And so, for example, there's a childcare not far from here in Minneapolis that has two childcares listed at the same address, and together they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there ever, and I've been by that place at least 100 times.
These Somalians, these groups are setting up these daycares, these childcare centers, getting money from the government, but there's no kids.
No kids. Never at any of them. They're all fraught with violations, and even though they have these violations, they're still in operation and they're still getting money. And it's millions of dollars for every one of them every year.
And who's getting the money? And where are they getting the money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money, so it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing is you have daycare, so you have adult daycare, and then you have child care, and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation, and a lot of those same names.
Like they have adult care, child care, and health care, and like that one, like it is provided by the government. Hey, would
Appear.
That's a sophisticated nini.
A lot of the same addresses. There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
Yo, that's crazy. Hata walikuwa wamepiga hii nini yao vibaya. Yani they made sure that walikuwa wamepanga hii nini yao venye inafaa.
And the government knows about this.
The government knows they're writing the checks.
Yeah, so it's part of the nini. Na unaweza pata some in those government ndo wameinvest kwa hizi nini. Hizi child care nini. Okay, there are some in the obvious. Unajua obvious kuna tu wale tu corrupt utapata. Na utapata there are some pia kwa hiyo nini that they own property in these parts of Africa. Penye hiyo do ilikuwa inaenda, they have like a nini in them. They have a hand in everything there.
Yeah, the Democrats over there just writing the checks. What has happened is that the Somali community is a very closed community. They will not speak to anyone outside the community and talk about what's going on within the community. They vote as a block. And so when you're a politician, you're saying, look, I've got 100,000 people in Minnesota that if I do something for the community, they're going to vote for me. And that's what it's all about.
So pia ni siasa at the end of the day. Na tunasemanga siasa ya Kenya inakuwa na mambo, so pia US inakuwa na mambo yake. Kuna kale kanini fulani tribal in a way, so like amechukua so venye huyo anajaribu explain, anajaribu kusema some politicians wanachukua some anajua atapata votes place fulani, so wanachukua the Somali community, like how we do it here in Kenya. Like now what Ruto did, alisemanga sijui ati wa Somali watapewa ID bure, like no one should like kusikue na a lot of kusikue na mtu ati kusikue na background check and all that, like people from outside can get IDs bila nini yote, and it became an issue in Kenya. So I don't know ni aje these past few months kumekuwa na issue wa Somali kila mahali, but this is very interesting.
Is getting the votes, and then the people here in Minnesota, you hear this term Minnesota nice. I'm so sick of that term. The people here are so afraid of being called a racist or an Islamophobe, and they're afraid of their own shadow. And I don't understand. This is our future generations are going to have to pay for all this fraud.
Yeah, that's true.
And they just want to bury their heads in the sand and go on and just not worry about it. Tim Wall's saying there's organized crime in Minnesota. What
I believe if Kenya someone tried this, you see, like Nani tried it, Morara tried it, and he was very alikuwa nini, but sasa shida ni ati the political circle ilimuingilia na bado the own citizens in Kenya, our own citizens, our own Kenyan people, the same they were against him, and that's very sad, unaona. So like hakuna mtu anaweza fanya something so like narrow yake, like sometimes Wakenya tunafikirianga if someone is doing it, they are doing it for a reason, right? Like they are doing it ndio either to get a political seat or something. Like hakuna mtu anaweza kuwa anafanya something for the sake of the betterment of the country. That's the part sad about Kenya and Africa. But for Maju it's quite different kulingana na vile naona hapa, and it's very interesting that this guy alienda to such extent na utapata like he's looking for any seat or anything, like he's not linked to any political nini, he's just doing it for the sake of where he stays and his state and all that.
What did he do about it? Nothing.
Wall says organized crime to blame for extensive fraud in Minnesota.
Organized crime?
Minnesota.
What are you doing? This is the Minnesota law, which mandates that anyone who knows of fraud and is a state employee must report that fraud. It's Minnesota Statute 3.971, Subdivision 9. Not only that, but Walls is also guilty of misconduct of a public employee. When I look at the world as a whole and I look at fraud, the Twin Cities is ground zero. The fraud is worse here than anywhere else ever in history, anywhere.
We're going to go confront these people. We're going to go to these daycare centers. We're going to see what's actually happening.
Okay, so we have to be careful because these people are very violent. They're exceptionally violent.
Now with all...
So are they really very violent? Are they really very violent? Arna L jona mi sim nini mtu mlima, but haina noma. Anyway, are they really very violent at the end of the day? Let's see. We will see what will happen, by the way. But this is very interesting that Jamali go to this extent, and he was trying to fight for his state and all that. And it's, as it says, as an ini, you need to if you see somewhere some fraudulent acts, you report it. And yeah, Kenya, we have done that and nothing has ever been done. But for US, it happened, and I believe walishikwa back then. So this is something that is still being inaendelea ikininiwa ikibrekiwa nini. So for us, we are just trying to see from a perspective of a civilian, because this YouTuber let me do this story, and you know
all of David's evidence, we headed out to the streets of Minneapolis to see how much fraud we could uncover in one afternoon. Where are we going now?
We're going to a place called Mako Child Care, which actually has another child care registered at the same address called Mini Child Care Center.
So we should see lots of children if there's this child care center, especially if there's two.
The two of them combined are licensed for 120.
And how much money have these child care centers received?
None of those vans have moved in 6 months. None of them. In 2020, one of them received $1.3 million. In 2021,
wow, $1.3 million.
They got 987,000. In 2022, they got 714,000. That's the last I have for that one. And then the other one, 1.604 million in fiscal year 2025. Fiscal year 2024, they got
mnasemaga wash haiko nini, iko tu nini. Damn, paka US wash man.
about 800,000, and in fiscal year 2023, they got $904,059. This place right here. Yeah.
Fraud counter $5.2 million.
Yes.
We're outside of it.
Well, this is actually 2 daycares are registered here. One of them is Mako, which you see on this sign. The other one is Mini Child Care Center. And between the 2 of these child care centers, they're pulling in about $3 million a year. And there are no children. Every facility as you go to, the windows will be blocked out so you can't see in. There's nobody here. You won't see a single child at any of these facilities.
There are indeed no windows. All the windows are blacked out right here.
So how itakuwaje child care center and windows are blacked out? That's very crazy. Okay, that's a red flag, man. It looks, how is it a child care center and the windows are blacked out? It doesn't make sense, man. Mali watoto wako kunafaa kukua na hii kuna kana environment yani ya watoi. Like the environment should represent what you're trying to sell at the end of the day, but it doesn't make. Why black out the windows? Mnakatu, that's a red flag, man.
Here, all right, let's go in.
No.
And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell?
Yeah.
Try to get in, rang the doorbell. Nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. it says here on their sign, yet there's absolutely nobody here. And this building here, right here, has generated millions of dollars, and it seems like business isn't even open right now, and it's a weekday. And if this was a daycare center, it wouldn't just be in some industrialized building. There would be maybe like a playground or something outside, or...
There's no play area for the kids. So where are the kids? Where's anybody? How can there be nobody here? And it's like this.
Lakini pia it's sad tutoke kwetu tuende kuleta tu nini kwingine. Why should we do that? Now that's even yani hiyo kitu inafanya kukuwe na a lot of mistrust na ina prove these Americans, or ina prove the West that sisi tu ni watu tu shitole kabisa. Like sisi si watu wa kutrust at the end of the day. Umeshika. And pia at the end of the day, as much as tunasema Trump is doing some things that don't make sense, like now he's blocking some visas and all that, huku tunalia that you want to go there, but this is what we do when you go out there. It's just sad, man. It's just sad.
Every single day. I've never seen a single child here. In 9 years, I've never seen a single child at this building. Right there.
Oh, then now it looks like we already got the Somalis coming through.
Yeah, they're coming. The word's out.
Hello, is this your daycare?
No. Can you tell us why there are no children? Have you ever seen children at this child care center?
I'm not sure. I don't.
Doesn't know.
So how are you sure and you're going inside? That's another red flag.
Oh, if she's ever seen a child here. All right, let's go to the next location. And the fraud.
That's super obvious, man. Unaulizwaje swali? So that means there's something you're hiding.
Only gets more from here. Make sure you stay till the very end of this video to see exactly how much fraud we find by the time we are done. And before we go to the next location, I want to show you something super interesting about the flags of Minnesota.
And here in Minnesota, if you take a look at the Minnesota state flag, they recently changed it, and it very much so resembles the flag of Somalia.
Okay, now that's okay, now that's crazy. That's crazy.
Now we're going to the next daycare center. How much money has this one generated?
This.
So yeah, that's the nini. That's the nini that has been happening. So wow, that's interesting. That's really, really interesting on what is happening huko. And wow. Okay. That's eye-catching. I don't understand why tunatoka nchi zetu tunapata chance kwenda kwingine somewhere. Okay, we call them greener pastures and do vitu kama hizi, and bado tuna expect these people to respect. They will never do that. mashika, they will always see us as watu fraudulent at the end of the day. And as much as si kila mtu is the same, but wale kidogo wanaenda huko, hawa watu wanatakaga any small thing ndo weze kutu nini kutu, like you see what Trump did the other day. He said that he bombed Nigeria. I don't know, alikuwa na grounds gani za kutuma atijua ati wanaua Wakristo, and hii akona nini gani ya kurusha nini huko? He doesn't have any grounds ya kurusha nini huko. Hiyo si nchi yake. And if he felt bothered sana, mbona kukaa chini aongea na president wa huko on how they are going to deal with it? Why did he have to just bomb that place? It doesn't make sense at the end of the day. That's why I say wanafeel at the end of the day entitled, because zile vitu pia si watu tunadu vitu zingine shitole tu yani. Unaona, that's why always atatubebanga watu shitole kwa nini. But anyway, that was the first episode of this nini. I know it was very short, but we are going to do it in cuts, and I hope after that we'll get to the nini of all this and see how it went down, and how if hii story yote ni watu tu kubonga or it's something that really happened. And it's very sad that pia kuona kwa sasa hivi venye news inatoka it involved money coming to Kenya, and Kenya pia imekuwa mentioned hapo. That's very very sad. Anyway, this is the real edits, and I'm hyped to the DARDO. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for watching. Kwa wale wenye wamesubscribe na wale wenye wameshare, and congratulations to us, tumeweza kufika 20 subscribers man, 20 subscribers. And it seems watu wana watch videos zetu na watu wana enjoy. And with that all, I want to say thank you. And yeah, vejantu tumesema, hype to the DARDO. That is my name. This is the real edit, and it's all about content. So join me for the next episode ukipata time.